Hi, welcome to Mission Driven Monday. My name is Chantel Adams, and I am here with Jennifer Guynn. I will call her Jen for short. That's what she goes by. Jen is the executive director and the founder of an organization called Pebble Tossers, which is located here in Atlanta. And it's a really awesome organization that I discovered years ago when I started my little adventure club for fourth and fifth grade girls. I realized that there's this organization in Atlanta that was all about engaging young people with their community. And I just thought it was so great that there were other people who were thinking about the same things that I was thinking about and who really wanted to get kids involved with service. And so I've been keeping up with Jen over the last few years, and ever so often we run into each other, and I'm always just checking her website to see what's going on and to see if there's a project that aligns well with what we're doing. So I'm really excited to talk with her today because I think that this is one of the best things about these Mission Driven Monday interviews. I meet women who just saw a need or see a need and they just did something with it. And I know, Jen, when I read about how you founded Pebble Tossers, it was really about something that you were doing with your kids at their birthday parties where maybe instead of getting gifts, they were doing something that was community service oriented or gathering donations or things like that. And we've done that a couple of times with our kids too. Although I have one child whose love language truly is gifts, and it makes her sad every time we do that. But I think that it is such a great thing to do because our kids really do have enough. But that Pebble Tosser sort of just grew out of that organic thing that was already happening in your home. And so I'm really excited to talk to you today.
Yes, I'm excited too.
Well, thanks. So every week we ask the same three questions, and I love these questions because I just get such great insight about what drives people and what motivates them and what they're thinking about now. But when you think back over your years as a wife, a mom, an entrepreneur, all the things that you've done, tell me a little bit about what you're the most proud of.
That's, I looked at that question. I was like, it's really challenging, because it makes you think back of the successes and the failures that you've had in your life. And there's both all the times. I think though that the thing that I'm most proud of is the fact that we started something out of nothing. And, we're now 10 years into Pebble Tossers, and I'm the kind of person that if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it all the way. And I'm saying, we joke around in our family that we're a full ass family. We don't do half-assed around here. Yeah. And, so like, okay, we're going to do this. Let's do it. So, and actually the idea for Pebble Tossers started at another friend's 40th birthday over margaritas. My co-founder, Jenny Stevens, and I were talking, and she had gone to a birthday party where her son brought a gift off the wish list of the children's shelter. And she'd known that I had done that with my kids. And she just thought, like, how can we make this into something? And I was like, well, that's been kind of hard to tell people, don't do your birthday presents, but just to give them alternative ideas and to give kids ideas of what else is out there. We found it was really hard for kids to find things that they could do. So I thought, okay, this is ridiculous. I grew up with service. I grew up in Atlanta. My family served. We served through our church, through my college, through high school, everything. And I wanted to teach my kids that too. That I was like, why is this so hard to do? So I think that just from the perspective of providing a platform for kids, providing opportunities and resources that they didn't have, I think that is one of the things that I am probably most proud of, because now that, your kids and my kids and just kids in general can get involved in things and take leadership roles in some of our service projects. They can be teen leaders that they may not have that opportunity if they just go directly to a nonprofit. Because nonprofits we've developed relationships over the past 10 years with people so that they know, like, if they're going to send a Pebble Tossers volunteer, or if they're going to receive a Pebble Tossers volunteer, then that volunteer is going to know what they're doing, and not just be some random person off the street.
Well, you've really gained credibility over the last 10 years as well. I know one of the things that I read about you, I didn't know this, but that you were actually appointed to the Georgia Commission for Service and Volunteerism, which is a governor appointed position.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
and I thought, wow, like you took this little idea and you've somehow made it into a business and figured out how to monetize it. And now you're a pillar in the community as someone that we're looking to and going, okay, tell us all how to do this better.
Yeah, that was not the goal, at all. The goal was just to be able to connect kids and with things that they are good at or things that they like to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then to be able to kind of empower them with the idea and the belief in themselves that they can make a change, that they can do this. So I was excited when I was nominated to the commission. It was by Governor Deal. I was kind of like, I don't really know what this is, what it's going to entail, but we meet quarterly, and I've really gotten to know the other commissioners. They're from all around the state, and it's been a very cool opportunity for me. One of the platforms that I like to kind of take with me is the youth and family voice, because there's nobody else on that commission that kind of represents that community. And so for us to say, hey, youth and family volunteerism is important and let's do something about it on the state level,
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of cool. And so right
Yeah.
now I'm working on this Student Service Cord awards. So every high school is entitled to receive service, or every student who graduates with a certain number of volunteer hours is entitled to receive a service cord from the governor. I know a lot of schools do it on their own, or
Yeah.
clubs do it, but not a lot of schools participate in this because the service hours requirements were so high, and it was a complicated process, and it was time intensive for the counselors, the school counselors. So we've tried to simplify that, and so now we're getting ready to roll that out this summer for next year. That it'll be a little bit easier. It'll be 150 hours versus 300 hours. And we've made the sign up process easier for the counselors to be able to, send it in for the kids. So now
Yeah.
it's just like communication and marketing. We got to get the word out.
Yeah, that's really cool. Well, one of the things I love about kids and volunteerism, and I noticed this when I first started working with kids, the very first thing that we ever took them to, we took them to the Nicholas House, which is a homeless shelter that's located in Atlanta. And we were there and we were doing what's called their open door tour. So they were giving us a tour of the facility and telling us a little bit about the families that they serve. The Nicholas House is one of the only shelters in Atlanta that serves entire families. So it doesn't separate, the men and the women and the children, which some of them do. But anyway, we were there with, lots of other potential volunteers, and the grown-ups had all these questions about if how the kids were doing in school, and about kind of not recidivism, I guess that's not the word, but like the percentage of people that would come out of homelessness and be back in the shelter and things like that. And our kids just had one question, and that question was, how can we help? What can we do? What do you need? Like that was
Let's play.
it.
Let's play. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just thought, yeah, that's it. Like, if you can get kids at that age engaged, like they'll do it for the rest of their lives.
Right. No, that's so true. I love to tell this story. I was out on a walk with one of my with my for some reason all three of my kids and I were together on a walk. I mean, and this was 10 years ago, because now my oldest is 21. But one of our neighbors came up. They're like, "Oh, you guys must volunteer all the time, blah blah blah." And my daughter at the time, she was like, "No, not really." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, wait a minute." And she's like, "Well, Mom, and I was like, "What about this? What about that?" And she's like, "Mom, that's not volunteering. That's just what we do."
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, okay, that is exactly the point that I want for kids to know. And so they grow up serving and volunteering. Doesn't have to be a big deal.
Right.
It's, you see opportunities that you would not normally see.
Mm-hmm.
You're put into situations where you may see a homeless person, like if you're walking down the street, in Atlanta or something,
Right.
and you may just turn your head and not look at that person. But for a kid who's volunteered with the homeless before, they have an idea that, okay, this is just a person,
Mm-hmm.
that maybe they're down on their luck, they're, whatever. And they may go up to that person like, hey, I'm Jen, what's your name? And then just to smile and saying, this is one of the things that I've learned in working with people who are experiencing homelessness, that just saying someone's name and giving them a genuine smile can just change their whole day. Because think about it, if you are by yourself on the street, there's no one saying your name.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, granted, as a mom, you're like, stop calling my name. But you just kind of think about that. And I think that when we introduce kids to projects like, we've got 12 different cause areas. So, but when you're exposing kids and introducing them at a young age, that it just becomes part of what they grow up, and that's just their new norm. That's part of their DNA for how they look and react and explore the world.
Yes. Yes. Well, we'll move on to our next question.
Okay.
And you've been kind of in this thing for a long time, and your kids are getting older. Where you are in this season right now, what do you feel like you're learning?
Well, I'm officially, I guess, in the middle season of life. I just turned 50 a couple weeks ago. And so I'm learning actually to be more mindful and more strategic with things, which I guess maybe that means I'm learning not to procrastinate as much. Maybe, I don't know. No, but I really am trying to be a little bit more, and when I say strategic, I don't mean that like very like tactically. It's more like, okay, how do I want to go about the rest of my life? And I need to think about what really matters to me. And I know as working moms, we constantly put everybody else ahead of us. And I'm trying to not necessarily do that as much. I'm learning to just to take time. And I know you know plywood and the plywood presents and the plywood people, and I went to a retreat with them, and Jeff was talking about time blocking and including time for yourself. And so I've started getting facials once a month. I know that sounds so ridiculous. It's just like a basic facial.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, I come out of that and I'm just like relaxed. Or I go to yoga and my husband's like, you're so much nicer of a person when you come home from yoga. But it's trying to be mindful in how I approach my schedule, my calendar, what I'm going to say yes to, what I'm going to say no to, how I'm going to feed my family, what I'm buying in the store, just truly being mindful of what it is that I'm doing and how I'm living every single minute. And I never really, I just went. I just was like headstrong. I'm a type A personality, stubborn, firstborn, all those things.
Yes.
And I'm just trying to take a step back and be like, I need to take stock in what I have and be a little bit more mindful of how I approach things. So that's what I'm doing right now.
Awesome. So I love hearing you say that you're becoming more mindful. It seems that as I have interviewed, I've interviewed people from all different decades. Last week I interviewed a girl who's only 19, and then, you're just turned 50, and I interview a lot of people in between, and even older. And it's interesting how driven and not caring isn't the right word, but we do tend to not take care of ourselves as much, I feel like, in our 20s and 30s, because it's just like more. I've got to get ahead. I've got to get ahead.
So we're also invincible at that age.
Yeah.
We don't have to take care of ourselves because we can just go.
Exactly. And I feel like I've sort of been thinking about that a lot as well. I'm just like, all these things I used to think were so important, I wonder if they're really that important. I mean, there's something really magical about, taking an afternoon to read a book or to get a facial or just to bake cookies in your kitchen, like just to do some things that just kind of bring joy and bring life and aren't at all related to your work.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. And there's times when, you just have to stop. you just have to stop for a little bit. No, I agree. I think that when you're a working mom and you're connecting with other women who are working on, and are, or who are, haven't worked in a long time. It's a little bit different perspective. A lot of people say, well, how do you get it all done? I'm like, well, I don't. I don't get it all done. And and I try not to get things done halfway. So I have to really pick and choose what I can finish and what I can do. And having a supportive family and supportive friends is just, it makes all the difference. You know, I've got some girlfriends that I know that I could call on if I needed to cry, if I needed to vent, if, you know, I just needed to go for a walk. And being able to support each other is just so key. You need people who can build you up. And, you know, you hear about the tribe, but you need people in your tribe who are with you on their journey. You know, I mean, it's like, you can't do any of this alone. You just can't. It just doesn't work, because you just get in a silo and you get this tunnel vision. And I think we just learn from each other, because everybody's got different perspectives and different ways to approach things. I just think that's so valuable. I love being part of a group of women who can share honestly and, you know, authentically, and it helps you kind of be more you know, authentic yourself.
Yeah, I agree. I have my own people too, and I know you talked a little bit too about having your business partner, Jenny is her name, who helped you start Pebble Tossers, and I actually have a Jenny in my own life who helps me with my business, and I often think I couldn't have done it without her. Like, it needed both of us to keep going, because we just had different strengths that complemented one another. And even as our business has morphed and changed over the years, so is our friendship. And that's one of the things that means the most to me.
Yeah. I mean, Jenny and I are still really good friends, but she hasn't been part of Pebble Tossers, like the admin, for about 6 years, but she's on our board of, you know, advisors or advisory council. And, you know, she's still her opinions and still matter 100%, you know, to me. But it's, she's still a great friend.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, as you look to the future and you think about the future you, tell me a little bit about your aspirational self.
I'm sorry, something blipped and I didn't.
Okay. Yes, occasionally that happens. We have a little bit of an unstable connection, but we're just moving into our third question, and that's kind of about the future you. So when you think about your aspirational self and who you want to be and what you kind of want to be known for, what does that look like for you?
I'm actually giving a talk on this next week, or in a couple, you know, coming up. It's like, it's your legacy. You know, what do you want to leave for your legacy? And before I started Pebble Tossers, I went on a silent retreat because I was, you know, kind of in a transitional phase. My son was entering kindergarten, and I was like, I want to go back to work. And what am I good at? What do I want to do? I was in real estate development beforehand. And 2008, my husband's in real estate. I was like, we can't both be in real estate. That's not going to work out. So I went on this silent retreat, and I figured out that I am a connector of people. I really thrive when I'm bringing relationships together and connecting people. And then literally Pebble Tossers was started a month later, you know? And I still think that. So I'm happy with that legacy, with the legacy of Pebble Tossers and bringing youth and families quality service projects.
Yeah.
And I think I only want that to be one part of my legacy, though. I think I want to, you know, keep going with, you know, and kind of expand that. And I've been asked lately a lot to help consult and advise people on starting their own foundations, and just helping people figure out philanthropically where they want to go and how they should approach that. So if maybe that's something else I want to, you know, take a look at, is just kind of being a guide to people, or, you know, advisor, and carrying people along their philanthropic journeys and their path. But again, it's about making connections and helping get them connected with what's true to them and what their passions are. So there's that. And I just, you know, I want to learn how to surf. I know that's so unrelated, but I was just talking about that the other day.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to learn how to surf, and I want to teach my my grandchildren how to do that. And I love being near water. And
Uh-huh. You
anyway,
should
that's
totally do it.
oh, yeah, I'm going on a sister's trip. I've got two younger sisters. We're going to Morocco in the fall, and it's kind of like a bucket list
Uh-huh.
50th birthday thing. I can't wait to ride a camel and do that kind of stuff and just, and travel. My grandmother was a huge traveler. I mean, she went all over the place, and she kind of set that bug in my sisters and I, both, kind of in our hearts. And so we just love exploring and learning about different parts of the world and cultures. And I want to be able to, to do that as well. But I think from like a legacy perspective, I want to bring people together and kind of empower them and give them a platform so that they can speak the truth about themselves and in an impactful way, and let them make a difference too. I just think that, it's like our Pebble Tossers tagline is "Start a ripple of giving."
Yeah.
And there's so many ripples that we can all make. So that ripple effect. I mean, it's huge. I mean, if each of us are making these ripples and we're affecting other people in a positive way, it's going to be a really good thing.
I know. Your tagline is one of my favorites. I love it. Start a ripple of giving. It's great. Thank you so much for meeting me here today and just sharing what's in your heart and what you're doing. And I will, of course, post links to things we talked about today, as well as to Pebble Tosser's website. She has you have a membership program now where you can really just pay like a small fee to be a part of what Pebble Tossers is doing. And for families that really do want to engage with their communities, this is a great investment.
Yeah, so we provide all the supplies, all the logistics, all the coordination. You just have to show up, you sign up, you show up, and you serve. And we just try to make it really easy.
Easy as pie.
For families. Yeah.
Easy as pie. So thank you for joining me for this edition of Mission Driven Monday, and I will see you again next week.